Hi everybody and welcome to my kitchen. It's me, Manny from Manny's Made at Home, and in my channel I love to share with you some simple or sometimes over the top but totally delicious recipes to share with your friends and family. If that sounds like your thing, make sure you subscribe to my channel. A couple of weeks ago I showed you a very simple bake, so today I wanted to bring something a little bit more elaborate. I'm going to show you how to make a delicious challah bread. Let's look at the ingredients that we're going to need. Today we're going to be working with active dry yeast, so the first thing I need to do is bloom it. So I've got some hot water here and I'm going to sprinkle my yeast into it. You don't want your water to be too hot because otherwise it will kill the yeast. You just want it to be warm enough to kind of activate it and it starts doing its thing. Gonna leave it for about 10 minutes and then we can get the rest of our ingredients ready. Into my bowl I'm going to put in my yeast mixture. It's got a nice and smell in here. You get that yeasty smell and you can see how it's become nice and cloudy and there's some bubbles as well, so that's what we want. That's how we know that it's working. Next I'm going to go in with the oil and I'm going to beat that in just for a few seconds. Next I'm going to go in with the honey. It's going to make the bread nice and sweet. I'm going to give it another little whisk and then I'm going to crack in my egg, and the egg is going to make the bread so rich and delicious. I'm going to go in with some salt now, just a little bit to bring out all the flavors. And then we can start adding our flour. I'm going to add it in a cup at a time through a sieve to make sure there's no lumps, and then I'm going to beat after each addition. After you do a couple of additions, you're going to notice that your dough starts to come together and it gets quite dense and heavy. So your hand mixer might have some trouble to actually mix everything together. So about halfway through, I'm probably going to change my whisk attachment to the kneading, the dough one. But even at that, at a certain point, it's going to be too much for my electric mixer, so I'm just going to do it by hand. Okay, I'm at that point now where my hand mixer isn't going to do anything. So I've added all of my flour, so I've started to knead it with my hand in the bowl, just to get as much of the flour incorporated as I can. And now I'm going to dump it onto my work surface and we're going to knead it for 5 to 10 minutes. I still had a lot of loose flour in my bowl, so I haven't floured my surface, but do feel free to add more if you feel that it's getting too sticky on you. Working to try to pick up all the little bits of flour, and I'm gonna knead for 5 to 10 minutes until I get a smooth and elastic ball of dough. It's only been about 2 minutes and you can see that almost all of the flour that I had is gone. It's been incorporated to the big ball of dough now, and you can still feel that it's wanting to stick a little bit, so I will have to sprinkle a little bit at a time just to help me work with it. I don't want to add huge amounts of flour because then my dough might become too dry. Okay, it's just been 10 minutes now. You can see how nice and smooth my ball of dough is, and if I press it in, it bounces right back. So this is perfect. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna transfer onto a clean bowl. I'm gonna pop it in there and I'm gonna cover with a clean damp cloth. And I'm gonna throw this into my oven just with the light turned on for it to rise for at least an hour and a half or until it doubles in size. So we'll see you when we're there. All right, it's been about 2 hours now. Let's have a look at our dough. And you can clearly see it's doubled in size. It looks beautiful. Let me put it out into the work surface and we'll punch it down. And I'm gonna knead it for 3 to 5 minutes. Okay. I've been kneading this for about 2 minutes and I feel like that's enough. I'm gonna shape this into a log because I have to cut it into 3 equal parts, and that will help me. You can weigh them if you want to get exactly equal, but I think this looks about right. Now I just shape this into kind of like elongated logs. Roll them into a little log and then roll them out from the center. You want it to be about this length, roughly about half a meter, maybe 50 centimeters. I'm just going to do the same with my other 2 balls of dough. Okay, these are roughly the same size, so I'm just going to start doing my braids now. So I'm just going to arrange them like this in front of me, and we're going to do a very simple 3-strand braid, just to make sure that you get the same thickness to your loaf and all across this. We're going to start braiding from the middle. I'm just going to take one of the braids and put it over the middle one, like so, and then get the other one and braid it on top until it goes in the middle. And that's your first step. So then take your left one again, goes to the middle, then the right goes over and into the middle, and just continue doing that. You can stretch your dough a little bit just to kind of make sure that they remain the same length, but just gonna keep going like that. When you get to the end, you can tuck in the dough a little bit, and I like to try to pinch it at the bottom also, just to make sure that it doesn't come apart when it's proven or when it bakes. And now you can carefully rotate your braid. Now when we're at the other side, instead of going over, we go under. So the left goes under to the middle, the right goes under to the middle. Left under, right under, left under, right under, and just tuck. And that's it. That's a perfect little braided loaf. So simple. I've got a cookie sheet here with some parchment paper. I'm just going to carefully transfer my loaf onto it. You could also oil your cookie sheet if you want, but I think the parchment paper should be enough. I'm going to cover it once again with a clean tea towel and let it rise for 45 minutes to an hour. Again, put it in a warm spot to help to speed up that process. Good night, and I'll see you in a bit. Okay, time's up. Let's have a look at our loaf. It looks beautiful. Very good. I can totally see that it's been trying to rise. There's a bit of stretching here, but that's okay. So let's get going. My oven is pretty much ready now, so I'm gonna go in with an egg wash. And you wanna make sure that you kind of get it everywhere. For the final thing before we go into the oven, I've got some poppy seeds here, which I'm gonna sprinkle over the top. Okay, and into the oven we go for 40 minutes, but watch it like a hawk. When I've made this previously, it tends to want to sometimes over brown because of the egg wash and everything else, so just keep an eye on it. When it's finished, it should sound hollow when you tap it at the bottom. Okay, it's time, let's have a look. That looks perfect to me. It's a beautiful brown color, and I love that contrast of the white parts from where the bread has expanded and there was no egg wash. It looks so beautiful. And just to test it, that sounds totally hollow to me. So okay, let's let it cool and then we can cut ourselves a little slice. Okay, we waited long enough, let me cut it up. It's almost too pretty to cut into it, but we have to give it a try. And look at that, it is a perfect bake. It smells so good and it looks amazing. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of jam before I give it a try. It is so tasty. The bread on its own is so rich, and I love how the strawberry jam complements it. You could also have it with just some butter, some delicious salty Irish butter, and it would be totally amazing. It is such a beautiful bread, totally looks the part, and it will make a fantastic gift. Imagine somebody turns up to your house for tea or dinner and they come bearing one of these. It would just be amazing. I love baking this type of breads. They're so rich in flavor and they look absolutely beautiful. If you follow the tips that I gave you, you should have no problem at all. If you enjoyed the recipe, make sure you give me a big like and let me know what you thought of it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this type of content, don't forget to check out my previous videos. I'll link below my baking playlist. If you try this or any of my other recipes and post them on Instagram, be sure that you tag me. I love seeing how you guys get on. With that, I'll leave you for this video and enjoy.